Welcome back to the channel, Valuable Coins HD, friends, to another episode where we dive deep into the rich, surprising, and sometimes shocking world of American coinage. And today, we're unraveling the fascinating story of a coin that is often overlooked, yet, in rare cases, can be worth an absolute fortune, the 1983 Washington quarter dollar with mint mark. Before you rush to check your coin collection, buckle up, because this is a long, exciting ride filled with history, mystery, and money that'll leave you stunned. Let's begin with the basics. The Washington quarter was introduced in 1932, originally as a one-year commemorative coin to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. But the public loved it so much that the mint kept it going. And it became a staple of American currency for decades to come. Fast forward to 1983, a time when video games were on the rise, Michael Jackson was the king of pop, and Ronald Reagan was president. But something else happened that year. Something small. Something metallic. Something that would become very important to collectors over time. In 1983, the U.S. Mint was still recovering from the previous years of economic recession. As a result, no uncirculated mint sets were issued in 1982 or 1983. That meant collectors couldn't get pristine, untouched versions of those coins directly from the mint, and that scarcity made high-grade examples from those years much more valuable later on. Now here's where things get really interesting. In 1983, quarters were no longer made from silver. Instead, they were composed of copper nickel clad, which means a pure copper core was sandwiched between two layers of nickel-plated copper. These coins were designed for durability, not beauty. But the process wasn't perfect, and that's where the excitement begins. You see, some 1983 quarters were struck with noticeable errors. And in the world of coin collecting, errors can mean big money. We're talking about coins that were misstruck, off-center, double-die, or even struck on the wrong planchet, like a nickel planchet or even a foreign coin planchet. These freak accidents during the minting process turned ordinary coins into extremely rare collector's items. One of the most famous errors from 1983 is known as the 1983 P quarter with reverse die gouge, also called the spitting eagle error. Yes, you heard that correctly. This peculiar name comes from a visible gouge mark on the reverse side of the coin. If you look closely at the eagle design on the back, specifically, the area around its beak, you'll see what appears to be a line or stream extending outward. It looks almost like the eagle is spitting. This odd detail wasn't part of the original design, it was the result of a die gouge, a kind of deep scratch in the metal die used to strike the coin. And it made the coins with this error incredibly unique. Collectors go crazy for these coins, especially when they're in mint state, meaning they've never been used in circulation and have no scratches or signs of wear. But because 1983 quarters were only released into circulation, and not in mint sets, it's extremely rare to find one in such pristine condition. Now imagine this, a 1983 quarter with a mint mark, possibly showing the legendary spitting eagle error, preserved in perfect condition, graded MS67 or higher. That's where things go from interesting to jaw-dropping. But what about mint marks? In 1983, quarters were struck in Philadelphia, P, and Denver, D. Coins with the P mint mark were made in Philadelphia, while the D mint mark indicated Denver. Each mint has its own story, and sometimes errors were specific to one location. For instance, many of the famous spitting eagle errors come from Philadelphia mint quarters, and some of the rarest ones were barely noticed until decades later. These mint mark variations, combined with error types, grading, and condition, are what fuel the soaring prices we see at auctions today. A normal 1983 quarter might be worth face value, 25 cents. But a rare 1983 mint mark quarter with an error, in near perfect condition, can be worth more than most people earn in a year. And don't forget, it's not only about errors. Some coins are simply rare because of their exceptional condition, what we call a superb strike. Coins that somehow escape the usual nicks, scratches, and dings of circulation and remained crisp and untouched, sometimes sealed away in a roll or forgotten in a collection for years. These high-grade coins are evaluated and graded by professional companies like PCGS and NGC. Their grading scale goes from 1 to 70, and a 1983 quarter graded at MS67 or MS68 is extremely rare, especially with a mint mark and a known error. Now let's take a moment to put this all into perspective. You're holding a quarter from 1983. You look closely. It has a P mint mark. The eagle on the reverse shows a faint line from its beak. Could it be the spitting eagle? The coin looks fresh, no heavy scratches, and even retains a brilliant luster. You decide to get it graded, and the result? MS67 with reverse die gouge. Congratulations. That little piece of metal in your hand, once worth only 25 cents, could now be sold at auction for a small fortune. And exactly how much, you ask? Ladies and gentlemen, one such 1983 Washington quarter with mint mark, featuring a rare error and preserved in exceptional condition, has been valued at a jaw-dropping $90,000. Yes, $90,000. So the next time you're sifting through change at a gas station, or you stumble upon an old box of coins in your attic, don't just pass over those old quarters. Look closely. Check the date. Look for the mint mark. Examine the details on the reverse side. Because you just might be holding one of the most valuable quarters in U.S. history. Today, we're exploring the fascinating story of the 1991 Washington quarter dollar with mint mark, a coin that has captured the attention of collectors, investors, and treasure hunters across the country. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why this simple 25-cent piece could be your golden ticket. Let's start with some background. The Washington quarter has been a pillar of U.S. coinage since its introduction in 1932, created to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Over the decades, it evolved, changing mint marks, compositions, and even designs, but one thing remained constant: its place in pockets, piggy banks, and cash registers all over the nation. By 1991, the Washington quarter was still struck using a copper-nickel-clad composition, with a pure copper core and an outer layer of nickel. The design remained classic: Washington's proud profile on the obverse, and the majestic heraldic eagle on the reverse, its wings spread wide, perched upon a bundle of arrows with olive branches beneath. This design had been a familiar sight for generations, but here's where it gets interesting. Even though hundreds of millions of quarters were minted in 1991, not all of them are created equal. That year, quarters were minted at two primary U.S. mint facilities: Philadelphia, which used the P mint mark, and Denver, which used the D mint mark. Each mint produced vast quantities of coins, meant for everyday use, but sometimes, under the pressure of high-speed production, unexpected things happened. Coins were struck off-center. Some featured double die impressions. Others were stamped on the wrong planchets. Occasionally, coins were misaligned, incomplete, or featured missing elements such as the mint mark itself. And these errors are exactly what transform an ordinary quarter into an extraordinary collector's prize. But 1991 also brought its own unique twist. Due to the lack of high-quality mint sets and growing demand for collector-grade coins from the early 90s, well-preserved and rare errors from this year have become more desirable than ever. Combine that with the fact that many 1991 quarters were heavily circulated, and you'll realize how difficult it is to find one in pristine condition, especially with a dramatic minting error. Let's talk about varieties and anomalies that make these coins incredibly valuable. There are 1991 quarters with visible double die obverse, where elements like the word Liberty or the date appear slightly doubled, a result of the die shifting during the minting process. There are quarters with planchet errors, where the coin is struck on metal intended for other denominations, even foreign currency. And then there are the dramatic off-center strikes, where only part of the coin's design is visible, creating a crescent moon shape that instantly catches a collector's eye. One of the most sought-after versions includes a 1991 quarter with a dramatic off-center strike and a visible mint mark, a combination that instantly elevates its rarity and desirability. Imagine a coin where half of Washington's face is missing, the lettering only partially formed, and yet the coin remains perfectly intact. To collectors, such anomalies aren't flaws, they are masterpieces. But there's another detail to consider: coin grading. Coin collectors rely on professional grading companies, such as PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, to evaluate and assign grades to coins based on their condition. The scale ranges from 1 to 70, with MS, mint state, grades starting at 60. A coin graded MS-67 or MS-68 is extremely rare for a 1991 Washington quarter, especially if it also features a mint error. A 1991 quarter that has never been circulated, retains sharp details, has mirror-like luster, and contains a rare error. That's the kind of coin that turns heads at auctions and can spark bidding wars among seasoned collectors. And that's exactly what has happened in recent years. These coins are not just collector's items, they are investments. Serious investors and coin enthusiasts know that coins like these can gain value over time, especially as surviving specimens become scarcer. A well-preserved 1991 quarter with a unique mint mark error and certified high grade is a true numismatic gem.so. Now, the big question: how can you tell if your 1991 quarter might be valuable? Here's what to look for. Check the mint mark. Is it clearly a P or D? Is it missing or distorted? Inspect both sides under a magnifying glass for doubling, especially around the date, Liberty, and In God We Trust. Look for signs of misalignment, off-center strikes, or unusual shapes. Evaluate the overall condition. Is the coin scratched, worn, or in near mint state? And most importantly, consider having your coin graded if it appears special. Professional grading can significantly boost a coin's value. Now imagine finding one of these 1991 quarters, a rare specimen with an identifiable mint mark, a striking error, and incredible surface quality. You send it for grading. It comes back, MS-67, dramatic off-center strike, and a Denver mint mark. Congratulations, you've just hit the jackpot, and that's not an exaggeration, because one such United States Washington quarter dollar from 1991, featuring a mint mark, graded in spectacular condition with a rare minting anomaly, has been valued at a staggering $80,000. Yes, $80,000. For a single quarter. So the next time you're handed a handful of change, don't ignore the coins that look common. That quarter might be more than just spare change. It might be the hidden treasure you never knew you had. Today, we're diving deep into one such possibility, a coin that looks ordinary but can command an extraordinary price. We're talking about the United States of America Washington quarter dollar from the year 1982 with a mint mark, a piece of pocket change that could turn out to be worth a small fortune. Let's take a journey back to 1982, the era of cassette tapes, arcade machines, and the early years of home computers. A time before smartphones, when pocket change still mattered in a very real way. The Washington quarter was still in full circulation, bearing the now iconic profile of George Washington on the obverse, a design that dates back to 1932, originally crafted by John Flanagan to commemorate the 200th birthday of America's first president. But 1982 wasn't just another production year for the quarter. It was a turning point in the world of U.S. coinage, especially for collectors. You see, 1982 is notable because the United States Mint did not issue traditional uncirculated mint sets for that year. That's right, no official collector-grade sets were produced, which means that many of the 1982 quarters that still exist today have gone through circulation. They've been spent, tossed, dropped, and worn down by decades of use. And because of that, finding a 1982 Washington quarter in high grade, especially one with a mint mark and a striking error, is exceptionally rare. Now, let's get into the details of the 1982 mint marks. That year, quarters were minted at both the Philadelphia Mint, which at the time did not place a mint mark on its coins, and the Denver Mint, which used the familiar D mint mark just to the right of Washington's ponytail. However, some fascinating things happened during the production of these coins. Some were struck off-center. Some were struck with weak dies. Others even featured doubling, where parts of the lettering or image appear slightly duplicated, and here's where it gets really exciting: a small number of 1982 quarters with the Denver Mint mark, and in some rare cases, the Philadelphia No mark, have been discovered with major minting errors. These include double die obverse, where the words, "In God We Trust," or the date, 1982, show a visible doubling effect; clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin's edge appears cut or curved; off-center strikes, where the entire design is misaligned, creating a crescent-shaped blank space; and the highly coveted wrong planchet errors, where the quarter was struck on a planchet meant for a different denomination, or even a foreign coin, making them truly one-of-a-kind anomalies. But here's what separates the common 1982 quarters from the extremely valuable ones: grade and condition. Most people have 1982 quarters that are heavily circulated, they're worn, dull, and scratched. But when a 1982 quarter with a rare error is discovered in pristine condition, we're talking MS66 or higher, that coin instantly becomes a collector's dream. Why? Because it combines rarity, historical context, and physical perfection, three elements that make a coin skyrocket in value. Now, let's talk about the role of coin grading in more depth. Grading is the process by which professional services, such as PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, examine your coin and assign it a grade on the Sheldon scale, from 1 to 70. A coin in grade MS60 is considered uncirculated but may have noticeable marks or wear. As you move up the scale to MS65, MS66, MS67, the coin becomes sharper, cleaner, and more brilliant. A 1982 quarter with a visible error, a clear mint mark, and a grade of MS67 or higher is practically unheard of. And that's exactly why collectors go wild for such pieces when they come up for auction. In recent years, auctions have revealed the true value of these seemingly ordinary coins. High-grade quarters from 1982 with minting errors and strong eye appeal have been known to fetch incredible prices, especially when they carry documentation from professional grading services. But how do you know if you might have one of these hidden treasures? Here's what you need to do: inspect the mint mark. Is there a clear mint mark on the obverse? Or perhaps you notice no mint mark at all, signaling it was minted in Philadelphia? Examine the coin's edges and surfaces. Is the rim fully struck? Are the letters clear and raised? Are there any signs of doubling, warping, or off-center design? Check for clipping or planchet errors. Does the coin have an odd shape? Is there metal missing from the edge? Consider the luster and condition. If your coin still shines brightly with minimal scratches or contact marks, it could be uncirculated. Send it for grading. If you're unsure, sending your coin to PCGS or NGC could be the best investment you'll ever make. Collectors often say that finding a rare coin is part luck, part knowledge, and part timing. So if you're watching this video today, consider this your sign. Go check your change jars, your old coin albums, or even your childhood collections. That quarter you thought was worthless just might be worth more than a brand new car, because yes, a 1982 United States of America Washington quarter dollar, bearing a visible mint mark, struck with a rare minting error, and graded at the highest professional level has recently been valued at an astonishing $87,000. That's right, $87,000. For a coin most people treat like spare change. Today, we're going to uncover the mystery and incredible story behind one such seemingly ordinary piece of money, the United States of America Washington quarter dollar from the year 1971, with its unique mint mark. Stay with us, because what you're about to learn could change the way you look at pocket change forever. Let's begin by traveling back in time to the early 1970s, an era of cultural revolution, political change, and economic adjustment. While the world was turning its attention to space exploration and disco music, the United States Mint was quietly producing millions of Washington quarters, coins that most people never thought would become rare or desirable. But sometimes, rarity isn't about how many coins were minted. It's about how many have survived in perfect or extraordinary condition, and whether a coin carries something unexpected, something mysterious, like a minting error, an unusual strike, or a peculiar marking that slipped past quality control unnoticed. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The obverse, the front of the coin, displays the dignified profile of Washington himself, sculpted by John Flanagan. It's a design so familiar that many Americans recognize it instantly without a second thought. But it's on the reverse, and in the fine details, that the magic happens for coin collectors. In 1971, quarters were struck at both the Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark, the Denver Mint, mint mark D, and also a smaller number at the San Francisco Mint, mint mark S, for proof coins only. These mint marks can be found just to the right of the ribbon on Washington's ponytail. And this is where our story begins to heat up. You see, not all 1971 quarters were created equally. While the majority of these coins went into regular circulation, rattling around in cash registers and vending machines, a small number were struck with remarkable errors that would only be noticed by the sharpest eyes in the numismatic world. These errors included off-center strikes, where the design is visibly misaligned and part of the coin's surface is blank, double-die obverse coins, where inscriptions like "Liberty" or "In God We Trust" appear slightly doubled due to a misalignment during the striking process, wrong planchet errors, where the quarter was accidentally struck on a blank meant for a different denomination, such as a nickel or even a foreign coin. Clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin's edge appears cut or curved, creating a crescent shape. Any of these minting mistakes can launch a coin from ordinary to extraordinary, but that's not all. The second ingredient is grade. Let's talk about the grading process, the single most important factor in determining a coin's value. Grading a coin is like grading a diamond, it's all about condition. Coins are graded on the Sheldon scale from 1 to 70, with higher numbers representing coins in better shape. A coin graded MS65 or higher is considered in mint state, uncirculated and in pristine condition, often preserved in a protective holder by a professional grading service such as PCGS or NGC. Now imagine this: you're holding a 1971 Washington quarter with a rare mint error, perhaps a double die or struck on a wrong planchet, and it's been graded MS67 or above. That coin immediately becomes a hot topic in numismatic circles, attracting collectors from across the globe, eager to add such a rarity to their collection. But wait, it gets even more fascinating. Some quarters from 1971, particularly those struck at the Denver Mint, have shown subtle anomalies that weren't detected until decades later. These coins may appear normal to the untrained eye but show distinct variations in lettering, texture, and strike strength when examined under magnification. In numismatics, this is called variety discovery, and when a previously undocumented variety is found, it can cause waves in the community, leading to increased demand and skyrocketing prices for known examples. Let's not forget the San Francisco Mint proofs. While these were never meant for circulation, a few escaped into the wild and were later found in pocket change. If you ever spot a 1971 quarter with a shiny, mirror-like surface and an S mint mark, you may be holding a rare proof strike that never should have left the mint. Now here's the question: how can you tell if you have a rare and valuable 1971 quarter? Here's your checklist. Start with the mint mark. Look just to the right of Washington's ponytail. Is there a D, S, or no mark at all? Examine the coin carefully. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Look for doubling in the lettering, unusual spacing, or misalignment. Feel the edges and observe the surface. Are there any clips, dents, or odd indentations? Evaluate the luster and cleanliness. Does the coin shine like new? Are the details sharp and unblemished? Consider getting it graded. If you think you've got something special, send it to PCGS or NGC. A certified grade can make a world of difference. Remember, coins like this don't scream their value. They whisper it, in the quiet details that most people miss. But you're not most people. You're here because you're curious. You're here because you're a seeker of knowledge, and maybe, just maybe, a future discoverer of lost treasure. So what can a rare 1971 Washington quarter dollar with a visible mint mark, a striking mint error, and a grade above MS67 fetch on the open market today? Prepare yourself, because one such coin recently stunned collectors when it was valued at a jaw-dropping $97,000. That's right, $97,000. For a single quarter. Just imagine how many of those you've passed over in your lifetime. So before you toss that change aside, look closer. The next great discovery could be sitting right in your hands. Today, the United States of America Washington quarter dollar from the year 1974, with its mint mark. A coin so ordinary on the surface, yet so extraordinary once you truly understand its story. Let's travel back to 1974. It was a year full of change, politically, economically, and culturally. America was transitioning through the aftermath of the Vietnam War, dealing with an oil crisis, and facing a deeply shaken trust in leadership. Amidst all this, the U.S. Mint continued to strike millions of coins daily, with quarters being among the most common. And within that mass production, something remarkable happened. A few coins came out, different. The Washington quarter design had already been a staple since 1932, introduced to honor George Washington's 200th birthday. Sculptor John Flanagan's portrait of the first U.S. president gave the coin a timeless and iconic image. On the reverse, the powerful eagle perched with its wings spread, clutched olive branches below, a symbol of strength and peace. These features never changed much, but what did change, especially in rare instances, were the finer details, the mint marks, the strike precision, the metal composition, and even surprising minting errors. Let's break this down, because not every 1974 quarter is valuable. But some are worth more than a new car. First, let's talk about where the 1974 quarters were made. The U.S. Mint struck these coins in 3 locations: the Philadelphia Mint, which typically has no mint mark; the Denver Mint, marked with a D; the San Francisco Mint, which used an S mint mark and primarily produced proof coins. That little mint mark, found on the obverse side, just behind George Washington's ponytail, can make a world of difference. And when that mark appears on a coin that also has a rare flaw or error, or exists in pristine condition, the value can skyrocket. Now here's where it gets even more fascinating. In the mass minting process of 1974, a handful of quarters were struck with unexpected variations. Collectors call these mint errors, and they are a big deal in the numismatic world. Let's look at some of the most valuable mint errors that have been recorded in 1974 quarters. Double die errors. This occurs when the coin's die strikes the planchet twice, slightly off, creating a doubling effect on the text or imagery. If you see shadowed letters or numbers, you might be looking at a jackpot. Off-center strikes. A coin that is not properly aligned during minting results in an image that's off to one side, sometimes leaving part of the coin blank. These errors are rare and highly collectible. Wrong planchet errors. This is when a quarter is struck on a blank intended for another denomination, like a nickel or a foreign coin. If your quarter feels lighter or heavier than usual, this could be why. Clipped planchets. If part of the coin's edge is curved or missing, it may have been clipped during the cutting process. This type of coin is easily noticeable and quite rare in high grades. Now, you might be wondering, how do collectors determine if a coin is truly valuable? It's all about grading. Coins are evaluated by professionals and assigned a grade based on the Sheldon scale, which ranges from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS 60 or above is considered mint state, meaning it has never been used in circulation and retains its original shine and sharp detail. But once you hit MS 67 or higher, you're in elite territory. This is where collectors start bidding high and competition gets fierce. 1974 quarters in mint state 67 or higher, especially those with rare mint errors or unique characteristics, are the coins that can be worth thousands. Combine rarity, condition, and desirability, and you've got a perfect storm for a valuable collectible. Another key factor? Luster. A brilliant uncirculated quarter from 1974 will shine with a reflective glow under light. If your coin looks frosty, dull, or has obvious scratches, it's likely circulated and worth face value. But if it's clean, bright, and untouched, you may want to get it examined by a grading service like PCGS or NGC. Now let's talk about one of the most sought-after versions of the 1974 quarter, those with rare mint marks combined with an error strike. There are very few known 1974 quarters that exhibit multiple errors and come from the Denver Mint. Coins like this are the unicorns of the numismatic world. One known example was discovered in a private collection, featuring both a double die and off-center strike, and it had a near-perfect grade from PCGS. It sent shockwaves through the coin community. And now, here's where it all comes together: the value. What if you held one of these elusive gems in your hand? What if that 1974 quarter, lying forgotten in a box somewhere in your home, turned out to be the one collectors are chasing across the country? Let me give it to you straight. One such Washington quarter dollar from 1974, featuring a rare mint error, preserved in mint state, and verified by professional grading, was recently valued at an incredible $72,000. Yes, you heard that right, $72,000. For a single 25-cent coin. That's the power of numismatics. That's the thrill of discovery. And that's why millions of collectors around the world keep searching, through rolls of coins, old collections, pocket change, and inherited boxes of currency. Because once in a while, someone finds a treasure. So what should you do? Start by looking at your 1974 quarters. Check the mint mark. Examine it for errors. Study its shine and edges. And if you even suspect that you might have something rare, get it graded. It might just change your life. And remember, If you enjoyed learning about the secret stories behind America's coins, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon so you never miss another episode. We're on a mission to uncover hidden value in the everyday coins people overlook, because your next quarter might be worth $72,000.